Every morning for 19 years, Marco Delgado pulled on his boots before the sun came up. He built things. Steel, concrete, brick, layer by layer, floor by floor. His wife Elena handed him coffee at the door. Every morning. 11 years of mornings. He never thought about how much those mornings held, until one of them took everything away. On a cold morning on a half-built third floor, a scaffold board gave way. 14 feet. One sound. Then silence. When Marco woke up, the ceiling was white and buzzing. His left arm cast. His right hand wrapped in bandages. He tried to move his fingers. Nothing. He tried again. Still nothing. Elena sat beside him. She had stopped crying in the hallway. Now she just held his hand and breathed with him. That was enough. That had to be enough. The doctors told him. Nerve damage. 3 fingers. Grip uncertain. For a construction worker, that is your life. But Marco was not thinking about bricks. He was thinking about a guitar. A battered guitar sitting in a soft case under his bed at home. He hadn't played it in years, but he had never sold it. 12 years, and he had never sold it. 2 weeks after the accident, Marco sat by his window and stared at the street below. He had barely spoken since coming home. Then old Tomas knocked on the door. Tomas, 70 years old. Missing 2 fingers on his left hand since 1987. He never explains the missing fingers. He didn't explain them now. He set down 2 coffees and sat down after a long silence. Tomas said, "You still have that guitar?" Marco was quiet. Then, under the bed, Tomas nodded. Like something important had just been confirmed. That evening, when Elena was in the kitchen, Marco knelt down and pulled it out. He didn't play it. He just looked at it. He ran his thumb along the strings, one dull, quiet chord. Then he closed the case. But his hand stayed on the zipper for a long, long moment. Like watching someone stare at hard facts. 1 month after the fall, Marco sat in a therapy clinic across from Dr. Priya Nair. She ran him through a grip test with a small foam lock. Index finger, yes. Middle finger, yes. Ring finger. Pinky finger. He watched his own hand as if it belonged to someone else. Dr. Nair did not soften the data. She respected Marco too much for that. The nerve regeneration was progressing. Slowly. Full recovery of fine. Motor control, uncertain. Possible. Not guaranteed. Marco listened. He nodded. Then he asked one question. Will I be able to play guitar? She paused. She told him honestly. It depends. Chords can be repositioned. Technique can be rebuilt. The hand may not return to what it was. But music is not only about what the hand was. Marco picked up the foam block and tried again. He failed. He tried again. The only sound in the room is squeak of foam. And Marco's slow, controlled breathing. Dr. Nair said something later that stayed. Marco was not just trying to recover his grip. He was trying to recover his identity. Those are 2 completely different goals. And the second one is actually more powerful. 6 weeks after the accident, the guitar came out of the case for the first time. Old Tomas sat beside Marco on the couch. He said nothing. He just nodded. Go ahead. Marco pressed a G chord with his left hand. His right hand, still healing, still numb in 2 fingers, strummed. The chord buzzed. Muted strings. Wrong and clumsy. Marco's jaw tightened. Then Tomas lifted his own hand, the one with missing fingers, and showed him how he had adapted over decades on street corners, how he repositioned everything, how music did not leave him, how it waited. Marco watched. Then he adjusted his thumb on the neck. The chord was not clean, but it sounded. It was real. He said later, "When I got that first sound, even ugly, even wrong, something moved in my chest. I had been numb for 6 weeks. And then there was that sound. And I was back. The next weeks were not romantic. They were honest. Every morning kitchen table before Elena left for work. Scales with damaged fingers. Dropped picks. Lost grip mid-chord. Staring at the wall. Picking it up again. Rubber band exercises for the ring and pinky fingers. On the bus. Watching TV. Waiting for coffee dot, Elena watched all of it. She said, there were nights he went silent for hours from frustration. But he never stopped. Every morning, guitar. I think the music was keeping him sane. I think it was keeping him Marco. Tomas came over 3 times a week. Not lessons. Conversations, held through music. He showed Marco a simplified chord shape that bypassed the damaged fingers. Marco resisted at first. He wanted the original, the correct version. Tomas told him, there is no correct version. There is only the version that lets you keep playing. Marco practiced the new shape for 2 days. On the 3rd day, something clicked. His fingers found the position without thinking. He played through an entire song, slowly, imperfectly, completely. When the last note faded, he sat very still. Then he laughed. A short, surprised sound, like a man who just found something he thought was gone forever. 15 o'clock to 18 o'clock. Tone, gentle, full, arriving. Like a long exhale at the end of something hard. 3 months after the fall. A warm evening. Marco stood on the balcony with his guitar. The city hummed below him. He was not performing for anyone. He was simply playing the same folk songs his father taught him. The same songs he used to play here, before work got heavy and years got busy. His right hand was not what it was. 2 fingers still carried a faint numbness. His playing was slower than it used to be. But it was his dot. Old Tomas sat in a chair behind him, eyes closed, coffee going cold. Elena leaned against the doorframe, watching the city and listening at the same time. Marco said something in his final interview that is hard to forget. He said, the music was always there. It was there before I picked up the guitar again. It was there in the hospital. It was there in the silence. It was in my chest the whole time. The hands, they are tools. Important tools. But the music is not in the tools. It never was. Dr. Nair said it differently. She said, Marco confused the instrument with the musician. The hands are the instrument. Marco is the musician. And old Tomas, quiet for a long moment before speaking, said, I lost 2 fingers. I thought I lost the music. But music doesn't live in fingers. I had to learn that. He learned it faster than I did. The camera held on Marco's hands, scarred, imperfect, moving, then slowly pulled back to the open city behind him. 6 months after the fall that took everything he thought defined him, Marco Delgado returned to work. Not on a scaffold. 3 blocks from the construction site where he fell, as a music teacher at a community center. The music was never in the hands. It was always in the soul.